Well, good morning. It's Friday the 17th of May, and it's that time of morning for just slowly taking stock and working out what on earth I'm going to do today. Well, the weather forecast says I've got this weather until a little bit after lunchtime. Yeah. But of course, when the grass is wet like this, it's no fun trying to cut it or whatever. But that does mean I've got a chance to get a little bit of building work done. Little bit. Well, I've watched Rusty Glovebox's garden video to show how his crops are coming on, and I thought I'll just show you my crop of stinging nettles. Yummy. I think you should all try growing stinging nettles. It was funny, when I was doing the research into whether they are edible and how to cook them and things like that, I found there's a range of suppliers will sell you seed for stinging nettles. Really, if anybody wants to buy stinging nettle seed, I should be able to sell it to you. What shall we say, $1,000 an ounce or something. I just found it funny that people buy stinging nettle seeds. Stinging nettles, the problem with them is getting rid of them, not working out how to cultivate them. Yeah, it's a strange world we live in. Anyway, I thought I'd just have a little stroll around and see what's what. My pea crop has been devastated by the pigeons. That's something to do with the rainy weather, that the cats have stayed indoors instead of keeping the pigeons off the peas. I think I'm going to have words with them. Now, Lloyd's tomatoes are way up here and getting too huge for the cages he's growing them in. My tomatoes are still way down there. One of the jobs I've set myself for today is to make some stakes for these others, because very suddenly they will go woof and will need stringing up. Yeah, we're all a bit behind this season. Never mind, it'll all catch up. It will. I do. This plant just amuses me. You know, what a wonderful looking thing it is. Now, you can eat these the same as you would purple sprouting broccoli or whatever, if you're desperate. You know, if you've run out of stinging nettles to eat, that is, of course. But what I intend doing with this plant, when the seed has dried, which is, you know, many weeks in the future, I shall save some seed and start some fresh plants. Yeah, let's go and check that strawberry. I'll be annoyed if a slug has eaten it before I do. I think we might have that for lunch today. And again, you know, comparing location and season and what have you, Lloyd showed us his carrots, and he's got these huge fluffy carrot tops, great rabbit food. My carrots, I don't know if you can see them, they are literally only just out of the ground. It'll be a while before any of those are ready to eat. But there we are. Everything's a bit soggy this morning, which is good, means I haven't got to water anything today. But I did want to get some stuff done this morning while I've got the weather. Now, I suppose I ought to warn you that I'm about to give a short French lesson. We all know what this is, don't we? We call them various things. My dad always called them a spade bit. Not actually sure that's what everyone would call it, but whatever. It's a thing for making holes in wood. And it goes in your drill, and being a modern sort of thing, it's now got a hexagonal shank on it rather than just a straight circular one. And 34, that's not how old it is, that's how many millimetres it is across the hole that it's going to make for you. Now, I felt particularly clever because I knew the French word for this. It's a mesh for wood, flat. I guess, is that Spanish? I don't know. I'm not learning Spanish, so we'll just stick with mesh. And I felt ever so clever that I remembered and knew that word. And we found it on the shelf. And feeling very, very clever, I rushed home and I thought, I'm going to use that. And then, of course, I felt pretty stupid because, do you know what? I haven't got a clue how to open the packet. Now, when I was at school, immediately after things like French, we always had another lesson, and it might be geography or, who knows, mathematics. I was never very good at mathematics. You know, 1 and 1 is 2. I coped with that, but all those quadratic equations and, yeah. Anyway, what we're having after French is geopolitics and economics all in one go. Now, I suggested, well, that's French, and I did wonder if that's Spanish, but it could be Portuguese, because when we move down the packet, we move past the sizes, and then we get down to this bit here where it tells us that it's, what does it tell us? Imported by SAS Equipment de la Maison. Yeah, the SAS, Special Air Services. That's impressive, isn't it? You didn't know that the British elite military organisation imports drill bits. And it tells us the address in Paris of the company that imported it. And then it goes on to tell us that it was imported by a company in Portugal. That's fantastic, isn't it? Yeah. And then as we move down, it tells us that you've got to wear ear defenders, eye protection, a mask and gloves while you use this mesh à bois plate. Right, hands up. Have any of you actually got ear defenders, eye protection, face masks and gloves? But then we come down to this bit. Fabrique en Chine, or Fabricado no China, made in China. Okay. This is why the American, French, German and Danish Navy have got ships currently in the Red Sea and around the Gulf of Hormuz, protecting international shipping from, what are they, Houthis? Whatever bunch they are that are firing missiles in the general direction of Israel or ships in the Gulf of Hormuz. Because this little drill bit that I want to make 34mm holes was made in China, and it was put in a packet, and it was put in a container, and it was put on a ship, and it sailed from China through the Gulf of Hormuz, round the coast, through the Mediterranean, all that sort of. This drill bit has travelled further since it was made than I have in my life. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why your tax dollars and tax pounds is paying for £400,000 missiles to shoot at £1,000 model aeroplanes in the Gulf of Hormuz, because we buy our drill bits from China and we get them to France and we still don't know how to open the packet. Now, one of the things I've got a bit behind with is firewood, and I hope I don't need any firewood before October, but you know, you never know. October will be upon us before we know it, and you know, those of you who studied Einstein, theory of relativity and all that, or those of you that have watched one episode of Doctor Who, you know that time accelerates. If you haven't done something like preparing your firewood, October will be tomorrow and it'll be cold. Theory of relativity, you know the theory of relativity. Relatives turn up either when they need money or you thought you was going to have a quiet night drinking wine and watching rubbish on telly. Einstein wrote that theory, and you know, he's been proved right ever since. So I'm going to split this up. The reason I'm going to do this now is not because I want firewood for October, but because I want tomato stakes. That's stakes for growing tomatoes up. That's not, you know, stakes made out of tomato. Stakes to put me tomatoes up while the ground is still soft enough that I can bang them in. So I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes or so splitting up pallets and finding the bits of wood that are good enough to make stakes for me tomatoes. Yeah, right, good, okay, job done. Now, some of you are going to say your stakes aren't up straight. Yeah, this is true, because any fool can bang stakes in vertically. It takes skill to get them into an artistic angle. That and, well, the plasterer's boy, you know, he was out on the town all last night, and yeah. And this is very much what we come to expect, so I don't actually get annoyed about it anymore. I was cleaning this stone down before I put a coat of ragrayage on it, and yeah, that wants a bit more than just some ragrayage, doesn't it? That's going to want a bit of show mixing up. It's something that I've got very used to on this job. Things that you have an initial look at and you think, yep, 5-minute job. You know, spread some muck over this and that will be good to go. And of course, when you start removing the old muck, yeah, you discover these little horror stories. As I say, I'm no longer surprised, shocked, disappointed. It's just part of what we're up to here. And while it's very nice being up here on my new scaffolding, looking at the garden, looking at the marigolds and the excellently artistically placed stakes that are carefully and deliberately put in at a strange angle. Yeah, as I survey the realm in this lovely sunshine, which has actually got some strength to it, you know, I just sort of am reminded that it's lunchtime. So unlike a lot of the people who climbed on a scaffolding during the revolution, I'm going to climb down and go and have lunch. I said lunch, didn't I? Yeah, I turned around. She was sleeping up there. I said lunch, she jumped down, and now she's going to make sure that she has her lunch as well.